What do most Fortune 500 executives have in common? They learned important lessons on the fields and courts of their high school and collegiate sports teams. This is true for both men and women. Ernst & Young found that a whopping 94% of women holding a C-suite position played sports. Their wins and losses shaped their habits and who they would become. Join me on my journey to sit with some of the brightest executives in the world as we discuss how sports shape their professional trajectory. In partnership with Chief Executive Magazine, the voice of America's CEO community, I'm your host, Don Yeager, and this is Corporate Competitor Podcast. With me for today's episode is Jesse Cole, also known as the P.T. Barnum of baseball. Jesse is the owner of Savannah, Georgia's minor league baseball team, the Savannah Bananas, and he's the founder of Fans First Entertainment, which Inc. magazine listed as one of the fastest growing companies in America. His teams have played before more than 1 million fans and have been featured on ESPN, MSNBC, CNN, The Wall Street Journal, and USA Today. The Savannah Bananas have sold out every game since their first season in 2015 and have more than 12,000 fans on the waiting list. Today, he's going to tell a few fun stories and help you turn your customers into raving fans. I've had the pleasure of being a guest on Jesse's podcast called Business Done Differently, so I'm so excited to switch roles and welcome him to Corporate Competitor.
The best business model in the world is just stop doing what your customers hate. I'm very against surveys now because they failed miserably for us. You get a very small percentage of people to fill them out. It's a biased survey. And again, you go back to Henry Ford. If you ask people what they want, they would have said faster horses. So how can a company do this? Watch what they do. No fan said have a 2-hour baseball game. But by watching this, they showed us that they wanted a 2-hour baseball game.
Jesse, thanks for joining us.
So fired up to be with you, John.
Before we dive into Jesse as pitcher, I want to talk about creativity because I don't think there's a better word to describe who you are and the way you think than creative. Your mission at Savannah with the Bananas is fans first, entertain always. I love it. 4 words. Can you share how you and the team work diligently to carry out that mission?
Well, we were forced to be creative. I mean, when I took over a team in Gastonia, North Carolina, with only 200 fans coming to the games and only $268 in the bank account my first day, I wasn't able to pay myself for the first 3 months on the job as a 23-year-old GM. There were no other options. So I started coming up with crazy ideas like grandma beauty pageants and flatulence fun nights and salute to underwear nights and players dancing. I mean, we tried everything. And we did 10 years of testing things in Gastonia before we had the big jump to Savannah. And as you know, obviously we failed pretty miserably in the beginning there, only sold 2 tickets and had to sell our house and empty out our savings account. But I think constraints foster creativity. Whenever there's a constraint, we embrace it. We jump in. And COVID is a huge challenge, still a challenge for so many people, so many businesses. But that made us ask the question, well, what can we do now? I think so many businesses, so many teams, they focus so much on revenue, sales, and driving growth in their business, which are all fine things. But ideas are everything for us. Ideas spur the excitement. They spur passion. They spur purpose. In the baseball industry, that's really what we've been built by is creativity. We knew we had to be different. We ask everyone, what business are you in? What business are you really in? Well, we were in the entertainment business and we had to be dramatically different. So we started having an idea of Paloozas our first year in Savannah. We worked on the name and came up with the Banana Nanas, the senior citizen dance team. That's how we came up with the male cheerleading team, the Mananas, which are now just referred to as the Dad Bod cheerleading squad. It's how we came up with our breakdancing coaches. It's how we came up with the idea of playing in kilts for our St. Patrick's Day. It all starts from ideas, and we champion ideas. And it starts from the top. Me as the owner of the team, every single morning, I start the day with 10 ideas. Most of them are terrible, but we're always trying to ask those questions. What can we do to make baseball fun? And how can we do something that's never happened ever before on a baseball field? And that's really what's spurred the whole creativity of the Savannah Bananas.
An idea palooza. How do you distribute those? Do you have a text chain? How are you sharing your 10 crazy ideas every day?
It's all theme related. The toughest thing you say, come up with ideas. Where do you start? Everything's theme related. Yesterday, had an idea session with our HR and our director of entertainment because the idea session was on our parking penguins. We literally have people dressed up in penguins parking your cars. So we started coming up with all the ideas. Could they be passing out snow cones? Could they waddle whenever they see one? Could they be listening to Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice while people are coming by? We set a theme for those ideas, and we get with each group on where we need to come up with those ideas. So a lot of it's entertainment based, some of it's merchandise based, some of it's operations based. Everyone come up with 5 to 10 ideas. We meet, and then we decide who's going to own it and who's going to implement it. Our whole organization starts from his ideas.
I'm going to guess that as crazy as some of your ideas are, others coming in have to be as crazy or crazier than yours. How do you shoot them down gracefully? What's a way, if I'm doing an idea palooza in my office and somebody throws something out that is just nuts, I can't even imagine how it would work. Tell me.
You build on bad ideas. Bad ideas often create the greatest ideas. There's a guy in our team, and his ideas are always so bad, but they spur the best ideas because they're like, how could you think of that? I'm like, well, what if we did this? And we kept making it a worse idea. And then the worst idea becomes something you can actually do. 2 days ago, we were working on first base put out celebration ideas. Again, we're trying to disrupt baseball. So how can we have huge celebrations on a put out by the first baseman? And so we came all these ideas, and a new intern said, well, what if the guy who got out gets arrested? What do you mean gets arrested? Like a cop comes on the field and arrests him. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if that works. And then our director of entertainment, Zach, goes, what if when he steals second and he's caught stealing, then we have a cop go out and put him in handcuffs and take him off the field? Bingo. We're going to now prepare for when a party animal gets caught stealing to arrest him. So it was one idea that didn't make sense, and now it makes complete sense. A bad idea now becomes a great idea. So we try to build on those. As Duncan Worrell says, the former head of innovation at Disney, is greenhouse those ideas, make them bigger, make them bolder, play yes and. The best ideas are not individual ideas, they're our ideas. And that idea of caught stealing was all of our ideas.
But I love that too, that then as the idea palooza is going on, you're also then picking someone to own it.
Yeah.
So it's not just that this idea is going to now sit out there on a board somewhere.
Yes.
Someone's going to say, all right, now I'm going to actually take this seed and nurture it. And I assume there's a comeback meeting at some stage where they have to say, all right, we've now spoken to the local police department or our security or whatever it is. Here's how the cuffs will work. Here's how,
We rehearse it. We rehearse everything. So we'll actually rehearse it pregame to kind of go through it. And that's the big thing for us. It's very much like Saturday Night Live. It's not a baseball game where you just say, let's do a promotion. We go through and we rehearse it and see how it works. That's just how we've learned. And again, we were forced to come up with these ideas to try to create fans.
Constraints foster creativity. Love it. And obviously all this is working. You've had 5 straight sold out seasons, and the wait list for tickets is, I believe, like 12,000. You've got that many people in line. Name another minor league team that has that kind of problem.
Yeah, well, I don't know any minor league teams that only sold 2 tickets in their first 3 months either. So we've gone through both the bottom and the top. And again, it's because we have very singular focus. So you mentioned it, fans first, entertain always. Every decision we ask, is it fans first? Every single decision. We have meetings on how to create fans, not how to create sales and revenue. We just had our world tour tickets go on sale. There's no reason the Bananas should be having a world tour. It doesn't make any sense, but we're doing it. We sold 20,000 tickets in a week.
Wow.
The crazy thing that most people don't know is that we called every single fan that bought a ticket and thanked them. And that's our entire full-time staff split up with 25 people, spreadsheets. I made over 150 calls myself. And if they don't answer, I'll send a video with my phone. Hey, it's Jesse Cole, the owner of the Savannah Bananas. Just want to call and thank you so much for getting tickets. We can't wait to see you. We're going to go Bananas. Come find me in the yellow tux. We'll have some fun. That is completely unscalable. It makes zero sense, but it's how you create fans. And that's what we invest our time in.
I love that. So to create fans, you're doing things that are completely unscalable. And it is funny because we have that conversation sometimes in our office too. I mean, the easiest thing to do if you're trying to send out a note to a bunch of people and grow maybe a new topic or whatever it might be is just to hit a big distribution list and arrange to have the name on the top changed. The hardest thing to do is to make each one of those things either a phone call, and yet to make something unscalable, you believe is the way you have to go to be memorable.
Yeah, and do the unscalable to be scalable, actually. Because if you're memorable, you're remarkable, you'll create fans that take care of everything else.
Wow. You have a 3M philosophy: moments, matter, meaning.
Yes.
This one really stood out to me, creating moments that show people that they matter so that they sense they're part of a deeper meaning. Help me grow that.
Do for one what you wish you could do for many. It's something we've learned from Andy Stanley. Now, obviously, we try to map everything for all of our fans to have an amazing experience. But the reality is one of the E's, which in our next book, Fans First, the 5 E's to create raving fans, is engage deeply. To do that, you have to create special moments. And what we always say around our team is nothing matters more than making people feel like they matter. How do you do that? Everything we teach is listen carefully, respond creatively. So listen to what your fans say and then respond in a different way. If we find out someone's about to have a baby that they're a Bananas fan, we will send them a Bananas onesie and say, congrats. Just listen to what your fans are saying. Your biggest fans are your people. If you want your team members and your team to create an amazing fan experience, you have to create an amazing fan experience for them. This weekend, one of our originals, our day oneers, is now at the Waste Management on the 16th hole. We sent our fans first director, Marie, to go to Ireland with her dad. We sent our vice president to go to the Indians game 1 of the World Series back in 2016, because that was the one bond he had with his dad, and both him and his dad started crying. All those moments are great, but sometimes it's a very simple, easy moment, something small, like a birthday. We have Reginald, a gentleman 40 years old with us, has a mental disability, but the happiest guy in the world. And every day he walks through the ballpark, he's just smiling. It's a great day for a ball game. Great day for a ball game. Even if it's about to rain, Don, he's telling everyone it's a great day for the ball game. Positive guy. So 2 years ago, he told everyone it was his birthday. Hey guys, it's my birthday on a game day. My birthday is going to be on a game day. He not just told me, he told everyone in the entire staff that his birthday was on a game day. We go, okay, Reginald, we got it. So his birthday came and we had our big pep rally. We had a cake and we had balloons. And then we sang happy birthday to him. And he goes, for me? Of course, Reginald, it's for you. You told everybody on the staff. And I said, Reginald, one more thing. It's one of the best lessons I learned from Steve Jobs. I go, come to the dugout right before the game. He goes, all right, I'll be there. I'll put whatever you need, I'll be there. So we have 4,000 people standing. And all of a sudden we're doing batting first from Clemson, batting second from University of Georgia. We said, last but not least, fans, you know him, you love him. Let's hear it for Reginald. And he throws his arms up like this. And he runs through high-fiving every single guy on the team. And at the end of the line, our coach is there waiting for him with a jersey with his name on it. And they gave the jersey to him. He stood there on the line with the team for the national anthem. You could see a tear coming down his face. At the end of the night, he said it was the best day of his life. Now, fast forward, we won the championship this past year. When they won the championship, he became part of the team, and the team handed him the trophy, and the whole stadium was chanting, Reggie. It's those moments that matter so much. And now Reggie's traveling on tour. He gives pep talks to the guys. He's a part of the team. It's those things that we try to create every day at our ballpark.
That is fantastic. And you're right. I mean, it doesn't cost much. It cost him a jersey, and it created not just for Reginald, but for everybody that was in that stadium, and even, me right now. Like I got a tear in my eye too. And I'm sitting there going, gosh, this is pretty incredible.
Thank you.
The other thing that's so fascinating about the way that you're looking at your disruption of baseball, you also look at the TikTok world, which baseball has so assiduously forgotten. You have more TikTok followers than every major league team. I think the closest to you is the Chicago Cubs are 300,000 behind you. When ESPN interviewed you, you talked about innovation is about falling in love with a problem. Such a great line. Now, tell me about the problem you fell in love with baseball.
Well, this goes back a little bit. I'm a big Walt Disney fan, P.T. Barnum. I got all their custom posters in my office.
I love that you're the living, breathing embodiment of all three of those.
I think often we have moments that stand out. Walt Disney had his moment when he took his 2 daughters to Griffith Park to go on the carousel. And he said, I wish there was a place that adults and kids could have fun. Every Saturday, he took his girls and he won that place. My place where I finally fell in love with a problem was when I was sitting in the dugout as a coach for the Katuitt Kettleers of the Cape Cod League, one of the top leagues with Mike Roberts as the coach, all potential big leaguers sitting next to me. Second game of the year, had the best seat in the house. And I was watching, bored out of my mind, Don. I remember vividly playing the game. You're on the mound, you're pitching, you can control, you feel like you're a part of it, you're playing a game. But by sitting, I was bored. And I realized that I understood more going on in that game than 99% of the fans, because I was in the dugout.
Right.
I knew the nuances of the game and I was bored. And I said, wow, if I'm bored, I can't imagine everyone else in the seats and also everyone else that isn't at that game because they didn't want to come because they were bored. You know what? I don't care. I've been a baseball guy my whole life. We need to have a mission now to make baseball fun, fast, and exciting, and no longer long, slow, and boring. And that was the problem I fell in love with. And we've had on our website since day one, we make baseball fun. Fans first, entertain always is how we do it. But that guide, that North Star is how can we make baseball fun with every single thing we do? And that's fortunately helped us stand out and get me and Emily off that airbed.
Well, it's good. It's a lot easier to stay married if you're not living on an airbed. As you've looked at building this, there have been 2 different levels of it. There's the level that is the independent league team that you run during the summer that plays baseball. But then you've also taken it next level now with this entire concept around this world tour and banana ball. I want to talk about that first, and then I want to ask you to help me work with our audience on how they can rewire or think about the way that they can redo their industry as you are working on baseball.
Sure. It's one of the first E's that I have of creating raving fans, and it's eliminate friction. You mentioned it right there before: innovation, falling in love with the problem. I believe the starting point of innovation is finding out what those friction points on your customer experience and doing the exact opposite. In baseball, we found them very quickly: long, slow, and boring. You get nickel and dimed. So now when you come to a Savannah Bananas game, every ticket includes all your burgers, hot dogs, chicken sandwiches, soda, water, popcorn, dessert, no ticket fees, no convenient fees, no parking fees, everything $20 total. We take care of your taxes. We take care of everything. That was a friction point we eliminated. Then long, slow, and boring. And now at our ballpark, we have no ads. We eliminated all our ads because we don't believe anyone comes to a stadium to be sold to, marketed to, or advertised to. So we went to an extreme. And I think any industry, if you put yourself in your customer's shoes and say, what are those friction points from when I first interact with you on your website to when I walk into your store to when I buy from you, because every pay point is a pain point, every single experience, and then say, let's eliminate those or start defeating those. Then you start creating these raving fans, because the best business model in the world is just stop doing what your customers hate. It's very simple. And I think if you look at a lot of different companies, they continue to do things that frustrate people. That's where it starts for us. And then we could start entertaining and experimenting and engaging and empowering our team to create those raving fans. But it starts with eliminating friction.
I love that. Stop doing what your customers hate. But most of us maybe aren't as easily aware of the friction points as, for example, you are. There are certain things about baseball. They're so well documented, right? The world writes about it and talks about all the challenges. But how would, say, another business go to work on trying to figure out what it is that are the friction points with their customers?
I love this question because we had no idea how to figure it out at first. And we failed. Like, we did surveys and we did all this stuff that didn't help. I'm very against surveys now because they failed miserably for us. You get a very small percentage of people to fill them out. It's a biased survey. And again, you go back to Henry Ford. If you ask people what they want, they would have said faster horses.
Right.
No one was demanding banana ball, this 2-hour fast-paced game where fans can catch a foul ball for an out. No one demanded that. But we started watching our fans. So how can a company do this? Give you an example. Every 30 minutes at our ballpark, we take videotape and pictures of our grandstands and of our seats. We are watching when people are getting up and they're leaving the ballpark. I keep track of all of that information because that's helpful. We watch what the fans do, not what they may say or a small percentage. Watch what they do. For us, that was so eye-opening because, yes, we had eliminated all the boring parts of baseball and had the breakdancing coaches and the dancing players and nonstop promotions. Yes, we had all-inclusive. Yes, we were selling out every game. And even USA Today wrote a story up. People were paying 10 times face value for tickets, but people were still leaving early. We watched this. They would leave at 9 o'clock. And they'd leave more at 9:15, 9:30. No fan said have a 2-hour baseball game. But by watching this, they showed us that they wanted a 2-hour baseball game. That's why we developed Banana Ball with a lot of criticism. It's too short. It's too short. Well, our fans are showing us. So now when we play a Banana Ball game, as opposed to a regular game where 65% of people stay till the end of the game, 95 to 98% of fans stay till the end of the game.
Wow.
They showed us. So we reacted. That's one example. The other thing is I learned from Walt, which had an apartment in over Disneyland, over the fire station. He would go undercover and go around Disneyland, go in lines with the fans, and he'd go on the rides. And he always said, this is a quote from Walt: whenever I go on a ride, I'm always asking what's wrong with this thing and how can it be improved? Every night at our stadium, one person on the staff goes undercover, parks with the fans, walks in with the fans, sits with the fans, eats with the fans. And at the end of the night, we meet. And we talk about what were the fans' first moments that they saw, but most importantly, what are those friction points that we can get better at? That's how you do it.
I love it. So now I want to take it to Banana Ball. You recognized that your fans were leaving, and so you needed to shorten the game, which baseball's been talking about for years.
But they're still getting longer.
They're still getting longer. They go to a pitch clock. They limit the number of times you can visit a mound, and the game still gets longer. Who can explain it? You set out to dissect the game and to do it with the idea of what would it take to make it more quick and yet still be baseball.
100%.
That's a real key here. We're not creating some game that's unrecognizable to a baseball fan. As you did this, you start breaking down the actual pain points of fans. and ways that you can speed the game up that doesn't change the outcome of a game. And then you actually go and beta test it. Walk us through the elimination process. Were there any rules you considered that you didn't do? I'd love to know like what didn't pass the Jesse test and how you beta tested it.
Sure. Great question. Now it's 4 years in the making. So no one knew about it in 2018, 2019 when we were practicing it. The starting point for us, just like we do with our business, was eliminate friction. So we looked at all the boring parts of a baseball game and said, what would be the exact opposite? Greatest example, walks, which I still think is hilarious. In an athletic sport, there's a play called a walk. It's unbelievable to me. And it's the most boring play in sports. More walks, more balls slows the game down. It's a walk. Let him slowly walk and jog to first base. So we said, what's the opposite of that? Sprint. What would that look like? And we just started throwing out ideas. Well, what if on ball 4, he has to sprint to as many bases as he can get to while the catcher has to throw the ball to every player in the position and the field before it's live? This play is crazy. And we tested it out. The first time, Don, it was a home run. The catcher didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to throw. He threw the ball into the outfield. It was a disaster, all right? Now there's a strategy. You throw it to third, short, second, first. The outfielders run, and then they play hot potato with the ball, so they already touch it, so it could be a play at second. They've learned how to evolve it, but it still punishes the pitcher for slowing the game down. Batters can steal first. If you're throwing balls in the dirt, 0-1, 1-0, like penalize the pitcher. We want strikes. We want action. We don't necessarily want strikeouts. Batters stepping on the batter's box. I'll never forget watching Yasiel Puig play for the Dodgers 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even longer now. I was watching the game, and I don't watch much baseball, but I was intrigued. And I kept a timer, 30 to 40 seconds in between each pitch.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I watched, I was like, this is unbelievable. This one at bat's going to be 6 pitches, but it's going to be 5 minutes. It's ridiculous.
Because he's adjusting the Velcro on his wristband. He's shaking himself around.
100%. So you watch a major league game, look at the people behind home plate. How many people are talking to their friends or looking at their phone? Because they don't have to watch the game because there's so much downtime because batters are stepping out. So as far as rules that didn't work out, the big thing for us was at the end of the game, how do we make it more exciting? And a lot of people kept pushing me, Jesse, we have to do a home run derby at the end of the game. And I was just not interested because the idea of having a slow home run derby with a guy throwing batting practice, to me, actually slowed down the excitement of what a game could be. So that continues to get pushed on me. We never did it. We went to our one-on-one showdown, pitcher versus hitter, no one in the field. That didn't work as well because the hitter always hit the ball and scored. So now we added one fielder, 2-on-1 showdown, but still unbelievably exciting. So we're continuing to evolve and adapt. And it's just day one for us. We've only played about 15 games of it.
These are the rules that will be used in your world tour.
Yes.
Which we'll make sure in our show notes, the actual dates of the world tour, though tickets may not be available.
Yeah, most games are sold out. Yes.
It's pretty crazy how many of the games are already sold out or nearly sold out. Some of the other rules, if a player hits a foul ball and it gets caught by a fan, it's an out.
That decision was easy for us. What's fans first?
You want to catch the foul ball?
100%. How do you get the fans more involved in the game? How do you get people to feel like they can make an impact on the game? Let me tell you this, Don, you'll love this. I'm this optimist visionary that always sees the best case scenario. I pictured the best case scenario, crucial moment in the game, top of the 9th inning. The Bananas are up by 1 run. All of a sudden, it's 2 outs, bases loaded, and a foul ball goes in, and a fan makes a great catch, ends the game. The players rush up into the stands. They lift him up over their shoulders. The media's interviewing the fan. He's on the front page of the papers. That's how I visualized it.
That's it.
Let me tell you how the first time went. It was the second banana ball game in our tour last year, and the Bananas were rallying, bases loaded, and we were down by a run. It was in the 6th inning. Our catcher came up, hit a line drive foul ball into our deck. A guy tried to protect himself, but caught the ball, ended the inning, and the entire stadium started booing this guy for ending the inning for the Bananas game. I brought over a police officer as a joke to escort him out of the stadium. It was brutal. Our catcher was like, "What are you doing?" It was a hilarious moment. And I believe you either have a success or you have a story. Well, that created a story. So the first ever banana ball fan out was against the Bananas.
This is the beauty of talking to Jesse Cole. You either have a success or you have a story. That's perfect. You have no shortage of stories. You also don't allow bunting.
That's inspired by my dad. When I was a kid, the first time I ever played, my dad tells me the story all the time. I was coming up as a 5-year-old, and my dad goes, "Jess, swing hard in case you hit it." And everybody laughed. And that was that's my mentality. I swung so hard as a kid. I always came to that swing. I swung and missed a lot, but when I made contact, I made pretty good contact. And the mindset of a bunt, a walk, I understand in baseball, bunt can be an exciting play here and there, but our mind, come up to bat and swing the bat, make it fun, make it exciting. And so that upsets traditionalists, which to be honest, is kind of intentional. We are not for traditionalists. So that's why that rule is in play as well.
We are not for traditionalists. I'm making notes on that one because I got to figure out how I can move that into my business as well. So you mentioned your dad. You grew up in Situate, Massachusetts, playing baseball as a kid, and you had a dream of playing for the Boston Red Sox.
Yes.
You started playing when you were 4.
Yes.
Went on, played high school, but even more importantly, you played an awful lot of summer league ball and were part of some pretty fun organizational opportunities there. Then you go on to Wofford in South Carolina. Is there a story from your playing days outside of swing hard in case you hit the ball that you still think about today?
I think a lot of people in lessons from sports, they think about the coaching and the serious and the competitiveness and the determination and the hard work. For me, it was the fun.
Mm.
I think about the fun. I remember our 12-year-old little league team. My dad would come to our practice with like a big old boom box and we'd play music during practice. And like, it sounds like no big deal. But back then it was like, we get to listen to music during practice. And I remember we used to do shadow ball instead of infield outfield. We would do an infield outfield with no ball. I'd be playing shortstop, acting like I'm making diving plays. And everybody be like, Alex, great play. Stevie, great play. And we're not even playing with baseballs, but we were having so fun. We were using our imagination to make these amazing plays. I remember one of our AAU teams, he had us march in like Army soldiers from left field as 12-year-olds, which just looks ridiculous marching in. That was championed as a kid from my dad and Frank Niles, who led the South Shore Baseball Club, that my dad became a part owner. And everything was about fun. Everything we did was fun. And it's those moments. Yes, I had games where I hit 3 home runs. I had no hitters. I had games that I don't remember those. I remember the fun moments that we did things that you never did before at a baseball field. And that is what I wish I didn't bring into high school. I didn't bring into college. And my baseball suffered because I took it so seriously. It wasn't the fun that I learned so much as a kid. And that's what you can tell I'm trying to bring back into the game with these older players.
Now you're blessed. You're playing a kid's game for a daily job. Most of the rest of the world, including most of our listeners, actually have to show up and they don't get to play or argue that they're trying to improve the game of baseball. I'm running an accounting office or I'm doing whatever it might be. I can imagine one of our listeners and they're a technology or a restaurant. How can I go create fun like what you're talking about?
First of all, understanding who you are and who you're not for. You mentioned accounting firm.
Yes.
You got to be professional, they say. I have a different feeling on professional. I don't believe anybody comes home and says, honey, I met the most professional person today. She was just so professional. I don't think we get excited about professional. I think we get excited about memorable, unique, fun, different. So if you want to have more fun, you have to start taking chances to have more fun. So give you an example, an accounting firm. We were miserable at this. We had regular invoices like everyone else. We did all the regular terms and conditions and contract like everyone else until I finally said, guys, our invoice is not on brand. So we wrote a new one. And this is our invoice. They said, today is your day. There's nothing quite like bananas payday. You may think you've had days like this, the day you bought your first house, the day you bought your first all-inclusive vacation, the day you bought your first car, but nothing's like bananas payday. So pull out your Bitcoin, check, credit card, rare coins, and make that payment like we know you can. This is your moment. Now seize it. Love, Jesse Cole, or whoever writes the invoice. You can make invoices fun. Why does it invoice? Why does a voicemail? Why does your hold music have to be like everyone else? When you start taking little experiments on adding a little fun, you start hearing from your customers, hey, that was awesome. I like that. And maybe some will actually encourage you to do more of it. We get encouraged by our fans to do more of it. You can't start having fun unless you start taking chances on new fun things and then getting that recognition feedback loop. So try a new voicemail, try a new email signature, try a new hold music. How many people have their voicemail is, please listen closely as your menu options have changed? Like what? There's menu options changing everywhere. Make it a little more fun. It's not going to end the world. So I challenge people to embrace a little bit of fun. And a lot of people say it's not for them, but why not take that little test and see? It might give your people a little bit more purpose and a little bit more enjoyment in what they do.
Jesse, there's just so much energy in everything you do, everything you say. You've previously written a book. You mentioned you've got another one coming out, but you have the fun book, Find Your Yellow Tux. One of my favorites. I love it. Thank you. You shared it with me right after it came out. It looks like you have passion just running through your veins. Most people are busy trying to suppress their passion. They're trying to find a way, as you said, to come off as more serious and respectable. You've dispensed in a yellow tux with any idea of respectability. Give me some encouragement on how I can dig deeper and find more of that passion, maybe even express it in my own way.
Passion's a tough word. And I think a lot of people struggle with finding your passion. I think that's tough. Find your energy. I struggled with this. When I first started with Gastoni as a 23-year-old GM, I did everything: operations, food and bev, hiring, finances. And I would come home at the end of the day, Don, exhausted. Like, me and numbers, good luck. Me trying to put up a sign at our stadium, it takes me like 30 minutes to put up a tiny little sign, which should take a minute. I am very bad at that. It wasn't until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started realizing at the end of the day, is the days that I was fired up, that I was coming home best to my wife and now to my kids, I looked at my schedule and I did things that gave me energy. The bonus E that helps everybody in the world is energy. You want to have energy? Do things that give you energy. I challenge everyone to first do an energy audit on your calendar. Look at your calendar. What are those things that when you look at, oh, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to do that? Can you not do it? Can you eliminate it? Can you delegate it? And then look at what are the things that you can do that give you energy. And now, Dawn, I have an energy list. Very simple. They all fit in these 3 buckets: creating, sharing, and growing. Creating, coming up with ideas, new promotions. Sharing, getting on a stage on a keynote. Sharing with you right now on a podcast. Growing, listening to podcasts, listening to a book, learning from outside industry. If I do those 3 in a given day, good luck to my family, because I'm coming home at 5:30, I'll ball of fire, ready to rock and roll. That's, I think, the thing that anybody can grab. And it's really been a game changer for me.
I love it. Many organizations call themselves teams. Truth is, it's one of the most abused words in the business lexicon right now. We all want to say we have a team. The truth is, we have a bunch of independent contractors carrying the same business card. You know what it's like to be part of a team. You're built one. And the team that you've got there, they share your energy. Let's say you're coaching one of us on how to build a team. What are the elements that take that group of individual performers and allows them to coalesce, to become something bigger than themselves?
First, start out with who you are not for. Be very clear. When we actually put out jobs, the last job post I wrote, group experience coordinator. The title was "Do not apply for this job." And I gave every reason on why you should not work for us. Someone that wasn't engaged with coming up with new ideas, excitement, wasn't an idea person, wasn't a person that wanted had energy, wasn't a person that wanted to be on the phone in front of people, that person that didn't want to give tours, person that wanted to just be in their corner and make calls. That is not going to fit for you, because you need to represent the brand. It was very intentional. We want to be so clear on who we are not for to attract the people that we are for. And it's why we have our 3-step hiring process. We want a video cover letter from everybody. We want to see in those first 5 seconds, are we engaged by you? Can we sense your enthusiasm? Are we fired up by you? Because that's what we're looking for. And your fans' first essay, do you fit our 6 core beliefs? And then a future resume, not what you've done in the past, but what are you going to do in the future? That inspires us. That gets excited. So when we get them all unified on that, we go all in on the vision and we share the vision, where we're going, what we're doing. If they're fired up and excited about that, everything else doesn't matter.
Wow. I like that.
I talked to our fans' first director yesterday. I said, Jesse, congrats. Our wait list for people to work for us just passed 1,000 for the first time. What, like right now? I go, everyone's trying to hire. She's like, yeah, but we're attracting people because of the videos, because of everyone's talking about what we're doing. They're attracted to our culture by they see on videos and what we're about. It's amazing when you have the belief in what you're doing, that you're willing to scream from the mountaintops and willing to share it with everyone, you will attract people that feel the same way.
I love that.
But, I'm not in this as much. I share the vision over and over again. That is my role. And we just had book club yesterday and the whole team was saying the same things I always say. It made me feel so proud. Long-term fans over short-term profits. We're going to continue to plus the experience. They're saying all my language. And I think that makes me proud when you have leaders that continue to be repetitive. The greatest leaders are repeaters. They're sharing things over and over again so your team can repeat it, that they can attract those people, and then they can get indoctrinated into your culture. There's a lot there, but I just try to continue to say what I love, what I believe in, and fortunately, it's been spreading through our organization.
True. Kathy loved to say that too, right? Leaders are repeaters.
Yes.
You have said, and you referenced them earlier, that your greatest mentors are Bill Veeck,
Yep.
P.T. Barnum, and Walt Disney. I wrote a book on mentoring with John Wooden, in which this exact same subject came up because he chose as 2 of his mentors, Mother Teresa and Abraham Lincoln. You don't have to actually meet someone for them to be your mentor. And I love that. And I think that's such a dynamic lesson you're teaching here. You've got those 3. Veeck, who was just one of the most enjoyable people in all of baseball, sent a midget to the plate so that he could try to make sure he got some strikes. Was he disco night?
Yes, he was a fan manager night. He gave fans live lobsters during games. He did everything for the fans. He was the most fans first manager or owner in the history of the game, or any sport in that matter.
Right. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves in some of those areas. P.T. Barnum, we know Barnum and Bailey, and then Walt Disney. Give me some lessons you've learned from them as your mentors. How do you continue to learn from them even today?
I'm literally reading How to Be Like Walt again for the 37th time. I'm reading P.T. Barnum's book with our team, and Vec is in Rec. I've run 30 times. Right next to me, I have these 3 custom posters. I think this is the best way. Vec, it says innovation. I try not to break the rules, but merely test their elasticity. What Bill Vec did is he tested the rules way back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s that no one else was doing. I mean, fan manager game, think about that. A major league game, he put his manager in the grandstands on a rocking chair while he let the fans determine whether the team was going to bunt, steal, or hit and run. A major league baseball game. Unbelievable innovation. So fans first, brilliant. P.T. Barnum, say what you want about him, but he was the greatest promoter of any time ever. Showmanship. Without promotion, something terrible happens. I'm constantly thinking, how can we attract, how can we create attention? Not for the sake of creating attention, but to create something that people believe in, that they want to be a part of. P.T. Barnum never said there's a sucker born every minute. He never said that. It was his rival who put that on him. P.T. Barnum was adamant about getting people excited about his museum and his circus and then giving them a show that they've never seen before that was unforgettable. I'm always thinking about how P.T. Barnum.
And a great movie as well.
A great movie. A lot of it wasn't true, but I'll tell you, it's how P.T. Barnum would have done it. He would put on a great show that people would love.
And the soundtrack, my daughter sings it every day.
I'll tell you, our first One City World Tour game, at the end, the second game, we had a surprise fireworks show, and we made a mix to the Greatest Showman soundtrack. That was unbelievable. And mothers were like tearing up. People were cheering. It was amazing, amazing. And then finally, by far, the biggest influence is Walt Disney. I can't tell you, every single day I'm either reading or listening to something by him, about him, of him, because there's no one in this world that's ever had a greater vision than he has had, and a vision for the right reason. You know, he said, money doesn't excite me, ideas excite me. He was so fascinated about doing things and creating an experience that was magical. And if you look back, you know, he died 70 years ago. And it still stands true. You can still walk into Disneyland, Disney World, and have a magical experience. That is the power of a visionary that really made a statement, that stayed true with his team and built it so strong. And so many quotes for Walt, but I love it's kind of fun to do the impossible. And every day I'm trying to do the impossible like Walt.
You know, we had the CEO of Disney, Bob Chapek, on as one of our guests. And he talked about the enormous responsibility of continuing to steward Walt's vision while running a public company. It's a difficult world, but his ability to do both those things, as you said, continue to create all that vision. Really awesome. Jesse, what would be other ways that our guests could learn more about you and the bananas?
I started just sharing the complete journey on LinkedIn. You know, I write 3 to 4 posts a week on everything that happens, from us buying our ticket company because Ticketmaster and Ticket had too many fees and all that we did opposite and bought a ticket company and all the struggles with that. I share every journey of the bananas on LinkedIn, and it's been really fun. It helps me provide clarity in who we are and what we stand for. So following up on our journey, that's there. And then just the Savannah Bananas. You can find us everywhere: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and we're having fun.
Jesse Cole, you inspire me. I love listening to your podcast. This podcast will run as your world tour is about ready to start. I'm looking forward to joining you on parts of it. And I'm hopeful that the book that we are talking about becomes as valuable as anything you've read from Walt Disney. You are amazing. Jesse Cole, I cannot thank you enough for being a corporate competitor.
Well, thank you, Don. And as you know, from when I first reached out, you've been the inspiration for me in reading all your books. So I appreciate you, love what you're doing, and so excited to team up together.
Wow. I have so much energy right now. No yellow tux, but I have lots of energy. Jesse gave so much goodness. I'm going to name the 3 things that really stood out to me. The first one that I really loved was stop doing what your customers hate. There's the best business plan of all, Jesse said. And right immediately after this conversation, I actually started thinking about how I could use this idea in our own company. In order to understand what your customers don't like about their experience with you, don't go trying to create a survey. Actually look for actionable items. He took pictures of his stadium. He saw people not asking for shorter games with their lips, but asking for shorter games with their legs because they were leaving and heading to the parking lot with the game still in play. He decided to change it. He listened to his customer, looking for what they hated. I loved his idea of Paloozas and how he has those idea generating conversations with his team, but the conversation isn't always positive. Sometimes They get idiot ideas that are thrown in. He mentioned a couple, but the bad ideas, he said, ultimately lead to great ideas. The further you start taking an idea, he even argued the further you start taking it south, the better the idea is going to get. And then the last one that really jumped out to me was his idea about the bonus E, finding your energy. Look at your calendar, build in the energy audit of your calendar. Pay attention. What is it that pulls you in? What on your calendar drives you nuts? Can you do more of one, less of the other? Be honest with yourself. Are there ways that you could become better by bringing more energy to everything you do, by doing more of those things that give you energy? What a powerful lesson. What a powerful day. I am so grateful that I got to learn from Jesse today. I hope you are too. Thanks so much for joining us. If you could share one habit, one thing you've done consistently that allowed you to separate yourself from your competitors, what would it be? In my 30-year career, 2,500 of the greatest athletes, coaches, and leaders answered that question for me.
This is Don Yeager, who did that article I was telling you about.
Don, Dave Sims with Coach K. How you doing?
Hey, Don. How you doing, my man? Great, sir.
What they gave to me is what I'm giving to you in my online course, Journey to Greatness. Through engaging storytelling and on-demand videos, you will learn the 16 habits that will jumpstart your personal growth. I will instruct you on how to apply these winning characteristics to your life through custom workbook exercises. We are slashing the price for our podcast listeners. Lifetime access to Journey to Greatness is normally $399, but for our podcast listeners, it will be $49 with the code podcast at checkout. Click the banner on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com to enroll. Thanks for listening to the show. I would be so grateful if you left us a rating and a review. We will be rolling out a new episode every Wednesday. To be the first to listen, subscribe to the podcast on our website, corporatecompetitorpodcast.com. Plus, as a thank you gift, you will receive a free chapter from one of my best-selling books on the habits of high-performing teams. Stay in touch by connecting with me on social media at Don Yeager, Yaeger, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next week, I appreciate you.